Waste Management. If you want to win $50, tell me how you pronounce his name, and you can win it. It is Kelapanda. Close?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I win the $50. Nobody else would. How do you pronounce your first name?
Well, it took me a couple of years to get it right, and I'm still not sure I have it right, so you're pretty much on your own.
How would you pronounce it?
It's Achaya.
Achaya. Okay, that's easy. Achaya. It's great. Thank you for coming. I know you live down the South End, and I know you have no hours. You guys work 24/7, the solid waste department, correct?
We've got some very hardworking folks. Luckily for me, I kind of keep, it's not as bad as most other folks. If you look at the drivers, the operators that we have who have worked right through the pandemic.
Right through it.
You
know, these people say the heroes are the hospitals and the heroes are... No, that's their job. These heroes are like people that work at Publix who are picking up your trash every day. It's like, and back months ago, we didn't know where the virus was coming. So hats off to your team. And how big is the team of solid waste managers? I mean,
sure. So we have a little over 1,000 employees. And, we've got folks that start either on a truck, they come in as laborers, and then a lot of these folks work their way up. And so that's something incredible about the department is in terms of opportunity, they manage to work their way up just by sheer hard work.
That is tough work. Everybody says, well, the McCrane picks this up. No. You get the blunt of it, and these guys, hats off to them. I mean, in some of the suburban areas, people worship them. And, in tough areas, they don't. But I think that they're doing a great job, and they're serving our community. They could have done a lot of things, but they chose to work it and keep our community beautiful. So let's find out about you. Okay, you're not from Miami.
Come on. Don't I look like I'm from Miami?
I don't look like I'm from Miami. Okay, so when did you move here?
Sure. So I'm from India.
Really? What part of India?
All the way down south. It's a place called Bangalore.
Oh, that's right next to Kendall. I got you. Okay. Where's the capital of India?
So New Delhi is the capital of India.
Right.
And so this is all the way down south, right? So if you look at the map and where India sits, New Delhi is all the way up north. And then my hometown's all the way down south.
What's the population of India?
When I left, it was 1.1 billion people. They tell me now it's about 1.3.
Okay, it's 1. What billion?
1.1.
Okay. 1.1 billion. And how much is the United States?
It's about 385 million.
So you're 100, 200.
It's about 3 times.
300% bigger. Is this land bigger there? Or
Great question. So we're 1/3 the size of the U.S., but in terms of population, we're about 3 times as much.
Must have a lot of tall apartments there.
We have a lot of people.
A lot of people. Okay, so you went to high school in India, and then went to college in India.
That's correct. Yeah.
Then you went for your master's program where? Hold on. Do we have an Alabama song? No, we'll get it later. Okay, so you did your master's program.
That's correct.
In Alabama.
Yep. So
and how many languages do you speak?
I speak 4 languages.
That's it?
Yeah. So
India has 4 or 5 by itself.
It has 27 official languages.
And you only learn 3 of them?
And this is not the dialects. This is just languages. There must be another 60 to 70 dialects.
Okay, so you learned 3 or 4 of them.
So I've got, I'm not a very good learner.
And English was your language there?
So that is something that the British left us with, and so English was my first language.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so you went to the University of Alabama and a master's program, and you worked in the kitchen?
So I went to grad school at Alabama.
Can you play that song when you find it?
So,
that was in 1992, correct?
That was 1992. I'm just an average kid. I couldn't pay my way through school, and I had to find just about anything I could on campus to work. So I show up at the Bryant Dining Hall, and luckily for me, they had this one position to do the floor and the dishes. Couldn't have been a better break. I had a free meal. I could eat anything I wanted.
All the time?
Right?
All day?
No. So it was one meal.
Oh, okay.
One meal. But it was what every football player or basketball player ate. Okay?
Oh, so you ate the good meals.
So I would have like 2 T-bone steaks for dinner. If I chose to. Yeah. So it was great. I mean, in terms of the school, on the folks that I met, And that's something that I've learned, right? So life is not about how hard you work. It's how hard you work and the opportunities that are given to you. And so this was, I might have started off at ground zero.
And so
right?
that opportunity knocked and you took it.
I took it, yes. So it worked out really well. And so, again, I told you I couldn't pay my way through school. Luckily for me, I got picked up by my major professor. And
do you know what that song is? Do you know what that song is?
Yes, I do. I'm waiting for him to play the whole thing.
Play the whole thing. Okay, while he's tuning it up.
So,
can you go to football games?
Yeah, so they gave us...
You know that song now?
Yes, I do.
Did you go to football games?
Yeah, so they gave us free tickets. So I got tickets.
You worked in that room.
Because, I got tickets to the basketball games and all the football games. And this is 92.
Did you know what football was?
No, I'd never known what football was till I came here.
Wow.
And I have, so right now...
All right, who was your starting quarterback in 1992?
Jay Barker. Come on.
All right, very good. Was he drafted, Tommy?
He was not. No, he was not.
Good.
So he played for the Birmingham Bucks. It was like a 2-tier team. He never got drafted.
Okay, so you in your homeland, cricket was the sport.
Cricket was my sport, yes.
So when you came to the United States in 92, it was another world.
It was. And
and going to Alabama, I know that wasn't your first choice.
Well, I hate to say this, but that was the only school that would take me. So I was grateful for the opportunity. But here's what's different. Coming from India, and you talk about the U.S., right? And you think every place in the U.S. is like New York City, and then when you end up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that's when you realize how different
the U.S.
Did you
stick out like a sore thumb there? This is not a political question.
No, so I will say this.
That was 30 years ago, right?
That was 30 years ago. And when I had my folks come to the U.S., I took them and stayed with people that I'd worked for, and they took me in as family.
Oh, that's great.
And so those are the connections that I made. I might have been a little different, but they always looked at me like,
so when you came from India to Alabama, was this the first time in the United States?
The first time. So when I went to get my visa the first time around, the consul looked at me and said, "You've never traveled outside India." I'd gone up to Bhutan and Nepal, which are like neighboring countries. Very close.
You're speaking another language.
So
I don't know where these countries are.
Look
I'm from Miami.
Come on now.
I barely go to Fort Lauderdale.
So if you just look at, so Mount Everest.
Yes.
Right. So that is, you have to go to Nepal to actually access Mount Everest. Right. So I'd never traveled outside India. And the counselor said, "Listen, you're not going to get a visa. Forget about it." And so I got rejected the first time around. And the second counselor, he kind of took pity on me and he said, "Make something of yourself," and gave me my visa to come to the U.S.
That's very nice. Okay. So you get we'll skip up a lot. So before you came to the county, how many long you been with the county?
I've been here for about 2.5 years.
And then you were with Waste Management before?
I worked for them for about 16 years.
Willie Hernandez. That's what I was thinking.
Willie Hernandez.
That's right, before you type. That's how my mind works. An hour ago we were talking about. So you worked at Waste Management for how many years?
16 years.
16? Wow.
Yeah. So
was Heisinger was involved? Was that after?
Yeah. So it was Heisinger. Yeah. In fact, Heisinger had he just left.
Oh.
And then he started this other company called Republic Services.
Right.
Right. So there was another gentleman, Jim O'Connor, who was all part of Waste Management. I started right up in where they have Monarch Hills.
Right.
Right. In Pompano Beach. So that's where I started with Waste Management.
All right. So you get.
And again, it was, we talk about opportunities. I was the only different person in the waste business at Waste Management.
Different? What? You're shorter or something?
I was different in every way, right?
Okay, so let's get down to the heart of this. So you go to work for Miami-Dade County. Happens to be the greatest county in the country, 305. Even though it's 706, we're all 305. You got 305. There we go. All right, so everybody in South Dade thinks of the landfill. Everybody thinks all the garbage goes there, all the trash goes there, all the recycle. Let's talk about South Dade landfill. It's quite a unique spot.
It is. So when you look at solid waste management and what the department handles about 1.8 million tons of garbage. Okay. So of the 1.8 million tons, we send about 350,000 tons to South Dade landfill. We send about 1 million tons to the resource recovery plant, which is a waste to energy plant. And then we send another 250,000 tons to another one of our landfills, which is the North Dade landfill. So when you look at waste management,
Dade land?
Yeah, so we have a landfill just off the turnpike.
Where? Turnpike near.
So if you go up, North Dade is now you're gonna.
No, Kendall. I wonder where that one is. Never mind. We're still talking about Bangladesh. Okay, so do we have all these? So garbage comes into one cycle, or do they go? The trucks just take it to a certain spot.
Sure. So the way it works is the garbage can go to a transfer station, which is like an intermediary point, where it then gets loaded into these 18-wheelers and then gets sent to one of these destinations for disposal, right? So we have transfer stations, we have landfills where trucks can go directly to,
right,
or they can go to the waste to energy plant, again, where trucks can go directly to. So they get routed, in 3 different ways.
So you have this fancy name, resource recovery facility.
Yeah.
In English or Spanish or what? How you say India? No, what's that?
Well, Hindi is the national language.
Okay, what does that mean? What's the fancy name for it? What is it?
Sure. So when you put your trash at the curb, from your perspective, there's no value associated with it, right? You're pretty much saying, hey, somebody come pick it up.
Right.
Now, what we at Waste Management, at the Department of Solid Waste Management do is we find resources in your garbage. So we take your garbage, we process the garbage.
It goes on a big conveyor belt or something?
So, yeah. So it goes through a conveyor belt. It gets shredded, right?
Who shreds it? The machine.
A machine shreds the whole thing, right? And this is what happens at resource recovery. It gets shredded. We pull out any of the metals that are in the garbage. So at resource recovery, we pull out about 7,500 tons of metal that you pretty much throw away. So that's one of the resources we
Not
get.
in the recycling thing.
No, this is from your garbage.
Right.
Right. And then in terms of your garbage itself, we generate about 500 kilowatts of electricity for every ton of waste that we take.
And how many tons do you do?
So we do 1 million tons at resource,
right?
And we generate about 450,000 megawatts. So if I have to break it down,
do you sell that?
We sell that.
To who?
Yes. So we've got a contract with Homestead right now. We sell them about 15 megawatts, and then the rest of it is sold to different agencies. FP&L buys some of our electricity, and some of the electricity is also used to run our plant.
A lot of people don't realize Homestead has their own power. They buy it from people. So most people don't know that as Marathon. The Monroe County has it. Even though they buy a lot from FP&L, they buy it different places. Okay, so you got the garbage, and then what do we do with the green? They call it green, right?
Sure. So what we typically do is we've got garbage and yard trash. So when we come and pick up what we call our bulkies, right? So you're allowed 2 requests of 25 cubic yards a year of green waste or anything else that is bulky that you can put out. We call that as yard trash in Miami-Dade.
What do we call it?
We call it yard trash. Yard.
Okay.
Now you're going to pick on my accent, not you.
It says a Y-A-R-D?
It's a Y-A-R-D.
Okay.
You're right.
Well, I got an accent too.
So, yes. So we've got yard trash, and then that goes to resource recovery, where that's processed, and then is also incinerated along with the rest of the garbage.
Some people think, let's just burn it. Do you just burn trash too?
So here's the difference. We don't burn trash. We incinerate trash. And the difference is it's not just a bigger word. Incineration is when you control the burn. You see how hot it burns. When you're burning trash, you don't have any control over at what temperatures they burn at.
Right.
When we incinerate trash, or garbage, we incinerate it at about 1800 degrees. And the reason why we incinerate it at those temperatures is any gases, any volatile organic compounds that are generated gets burnt. So when you look at any of our stacks, if you're going by resource and you see our stack, all you're going to see coming out of the stack is steam and carbon dioxide, right? So it's smokeless. You will not see any smoke.
People think they see it. It's just the steam coming out.
Well, I would get my eyes tested if I were you.
Yeah. Okay. The difference between garbage and trash, and why do we keep it separate? Because the word trash is general.
Yep.
And garbage is just general.
So garbage is what you would put out from, it's mostly food waste, a lot of organic waste. And trash it's got an element of green waste associated with it. And the reason why we try and keep it, or we've kept it separate, is because the plant has an old technology. So it's called a refuse-derived fuel plant. So we have to make a fuel that meets a certain heat content. And, without getting into too many numbers, if you look at the heating value of food waste, the heating value of food waste is about 2,000 BTUs. The heating value of yard waste is closer to about 5,000 to 7,000 BTUs. So what we do is we shred them together, blend it together, so we get a homogeneous mix. And that's the reason why we keep it separate.
Gotcha. Okay. The big mountains that you see all over, people think that's trash. What is it?
It is trash. So
trash, garbage, is it tree? What is it?
Sure. So
and anybody go, it smells.
It shouldn't, right? If it's run right, it shouldn't smell.
By the way, the one they smell are not in Dade County. It's from that other county.
Thank you.
The county north of us. We won't say their name, but the ones in Dade County. I know the South Dade landfill pretty well. There's no smell. So the only smell you might get is when it's the seaweed of the bay is not going with. That's only because
we don't take seaweed at South Dade. No, right? But again, to your point, a landfill has got to be managed, operated correctly. And then those huge mountains that you see is what we call municipal solid waste. So it's a non-hazardous component, right? So none of the material that goes into one of these landfills is hazardous. It's all non-hazardous household waste.
The Doral location, you have a stack out there, correct?
That's correct, yeah. So that is the resource recovery plant.
Okay. How do you reduce the odor there?
Great question. So obviously you
got a lot of guys just spraying good smell on it? No?
So here's what you've got.
Okay.
Right? So we talk about handling 1 million tons, right? So having a guy spraying 1 million tons is not feasible, right? So what we have is we've got this enclosed facility where we take all the garbage at. We've got these high-speed doors. So as soon as the truck goes in, the doors open, and then as soon as the truck goes past the doors shut. So they're what we call rapid closing doors. What we're trying to do is minimize the potential for any odors to migrate outside the building.
So people work in that building?
People work in that building, yes.
They wear certain clothing?
Yes. I mean, we all wear safety clothing, right?
But they smell.
So some of us have done waste for a while, and it becomes part of who we are, right? It's not the greatest of environments, but if you manage it correctly, where you don't let the waste to decompose,
right,
it's a fairly decent environment to be in.
After the stuff gets incinerated, where do the ashes go?
So what we have on our own property at Resource in Doral, we have an ash landfill.
Where's that?
It's bang next to the plant.
Okay.
In Doral itself, right? So the ash is then taken and landfilled inside this lined footprint. So the whole area is lined. We use state-of-the-art liner systems to make sure that none of the water leaches into the groundwater. And we build this mountain. So close to your point that you were making, at South Dade, you have a mountain that's built out of garbage, right? We have a small mountain at Doral that's built only out of ash.
Not everything burns, like metal, whatever. What doesn't burn, and what do you do with it?
So when we take garbage, at the end of the day, when the process is done correctly, what you end up with is steam, carbon dioxide, ash, and then you actually generate electricity. So those are the only byproducts that you have. So you have steam that goes up the vent, up
Right.
the stack, right? You have carbon dioxide that again goes up the stack,
Right.
and then you have ash that we manage
Right.
at the ash fill.
Metal burns.
So the metal is something that we recover. So remember, I told you we get about 7,500 tons of metal.
Right.
So that's the metal that we take and then send it off to a metal processing facility.
You know, the stacks or chimneys or whatever you want to call them, on the people see, they think there's smoke coming out. That means there's a fire. Explain everything about it. You know, the emissions, the smoke, and those things again in those facilities.
Absolutely.
Because it's very confusing. People go by, and there's not enough information about this, because this is important, that their trash and garbage produces electricity, produces, what else does it do?
So we have all these metals that we pull out from the trash itself. There's a component called fine. So when you grind up yard waste, some of it crumbles.
Like leaves and
perfect, right? So like leaves, we use that.
It's mulch.
Not mulch, but close to mulch. So we use it to cover our landfills after we place trash.
That's mulch. Right? That's like mulch.
It's like mulch, right? But then again, we recycle what could have been simply thrown away. We recycle at our landfills.
So when they get in, you see all these trees and bushes, you put it into a different incinerator, right?
No, it's the same incinerator. It's processed separately.
Right, and that covers the mountain.
So yeah, so some of that is used to actually cover the garbage, the trash that we take. Yes, yeah. And then in terms of what you were asking me on what goes through a stack, right? There was a time.
How tall are those stacks?
Without holding me, if I remember correctly, it's 85 feet off the base of the plant, but I might be off.
That's all right. It's interesting.
It sticks way up there.
It's 8 stories. 8 to 10 stories.
It's 8 to 10 stories. Yeah, that's a fair description.
But when you're driving by, you go, wow.
You actually you see it, right?
Right.
And so in terms of everything that goes on, we have what's called an air quality control system,
right,
where we clean all the air before it goes into the stack. And it's all state-of-the-art stuff that we had to upgrade in the 90s. All the gases get tested. So it's not as if we don't know what's going through those stacks. And we've got both, the EPA and the DEP have extremely stringent requirements. And we have been able to meet, based on our permits, we destroy more than 99%. 99 is a stretch. I would say about 95 to 98%.
Over 95%.
Over 95% of everything that we generate. Yes.
All this is really interesting. And one day, the public schools teach our students, and we need it in colleges, how important all this is, because we don't know that. Nobody really wants to talk about it. You hear about it, well, we reset, but it is quite interesting, and our kids need to know about it. What else do you think we should talk about in that department? Is there other things we're missing? So, I gotta ask. There's 1,000 people, over 1,000 that work here. How many are on the street?
So we've got 4 different departments, right? So we have the collection side of the house that run all the trucks and pick up your garbage on a day in, day out basis. And if I'm not mistaken, they might be about 350 strong.
That covers all of Dade County.
That covers all of unincorporated Dade County, yes.
And the cities that we cover all of
Dade. Yeah, so
not every city doesn't have their own garbage. Who has their own garbage?
So if you look at the bigger cities, right? So the city of Miami has their own garbage system.
Hialeah
has their own system. Coral Gables has their own system. So there are a bunch of cities. Miami Beach has their own system. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, they give it out. They privatized it, where they have a private hauler that does it, right? So we've got, we service about 350,000 homes in Miami-Dade County.
Wow. Okay.
And we service them twice. So we touch them twice a week.
It's 700,000 homes a week. How many complaints do you guys get?
Without actually knowing my numbers, I think it's a fairly small number. When when you talk, I mean, I would say
It's crazy. You got 700,000, you got 350,000 customers. Nobody has that other than us because we have 300,000 people watching you right now, one at a time. But it is amazing. When you break, I know it's 700,000 pickups, but 300,000, over 350,000 pickups. That includes businesses too, correct?
we don't do businesses, right? So for the most part, all we do is single family homes.
350,000.
But yeah, to your point,
you're gonna very little.
Very little. Yeah. In terms of complaints, and then we have a system where as soon as we get a complaint, we try and log it and then get right back and make sure that it's resolved.
What kind of
in the
complaints
next
do you get?
Couple of days. So from time to time,
you missed my garbage. Oh, ma'am. Ma'am, sorry,
So-
you're wrong day.
So that's one of the challenges we've had. So if we run a route a little differently, people who've gotten used to
The
the
7
garbage
a.m.
getting
pickup.
the 7 a.m. pickup, and it doesn't happen at 7 a.m., they think it's missed, and then they call it in, right? So we have some of
Is
that.
that like the biggest complaints you probably have?
Time to time, you're talking about your cart, right?
Right.
So you have a wheel that's missing, and so we have a complaint that says, "Hey, listen, my cart's missing a wheel."
And you send somebody else.
So we have somebody go out and then take care of it, and all of that is done really efficiently. It's done, within a 7-day period. They go back and fix all of those issues.
The recycling bin. That's the same day.
So in terms of fixing it,
No, go pick it up. The pickup.
So again, recycling is something that we outsource. We don't do it ourselves, right? So we have an outside company that actually does that for
the whole your whole
for the whole county. That's correct.
And who is that?
So we've got two different.
Two different. Okay, I didn't need to know.
Yeah,
it's interesting, but still, you have 350,000 customers and Christmas trees, big branches, all that.
And then remember bulky waste, right? So you're allowed 2 bulky waste pickups.
When bulk up means like when my ex-wife threw me out all the furniture outside.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So you're allowed 2 pickups a year.
And how many days does it take?
So the standard for us is to get there within 10 days from the time you call in. And most times,
The problem is, I see this all the time. Let's just you're my neighbor and you have a bulk pickup. Everybody sees that, go, hey, go to that house, dump your junk. Right? That happens. Right?
I'm sure it does. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I'll just dump it on their house. All right. So you've been there at 2.5 years.
Yep.
Your boss, how long he's been there?
So Mike Fernandez has been there for a little over 12 years, if I'm not mistaken, in different capacities.
Okay, and the people, I know you don't know all 1,000 employees.
No, I don't.
But who do you know? I want you to start spelling the names. Okay. Who do you know in the department that's been over there? You got people there over 30 years, right?
Yes. We've got folks who've been there for 35 years plus and still going.
And a lot of those people are on the road, in the field.
Some of them are in the field.
Those
men
and women that are doing it, they're beasts in a good sense. They're just strong.
It just goes to show the commitment that they've had.
Right.
And to do this day in and day out is an incredible commitment from them.
Right. It's totally impressive. All right. We're going to wrap it up. I have a little quiz for you in a minute. What else? Have I missed anything about your department?
I think the biggest takeaway for us is how do we do things differently in managing what is a problem for most, right? Nobody wants to talk about their garbage. And the challenge for us is, again, to your point, how do we look at it as a resource and make the most environmental decisions that we can and make it in a responsible way?
I know that you and your bosses and the department heads, do you look at it like other states or other counties go, wow, they got it great? Or is our system is it up to snuff compared to other places?
So, my boss, and I don't say it because he's my boss. So he's actually looked at cutting edge technologies. He's tried to push the envelope to say, what's everybody else?
Right. So you guys are looking at other places.
So in terms of electric vehicles, right? He's pushing the charge to say, can we do things differently? How do we operate our landfills? He's looking at that to say, how do we do things differently? This resource recovery plant that we've been talking about, but it's 40 years old. And 40 years is an old It's a long time for a plant.
Nowadays, 10 years is old. Yeah, 40 years is like another century. So I'm glad to hear that.
So he's talking about new technologies. How do you push the envelope and do things differently?
The biggest complaint I would think, as not a consumer, as my garbage pickup's fine, is the
You don't like the color of your cart?
Some people complain about the cart, the incinerator, the landfill. They're trying to be more environment friendly, but I think you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
All right, now here's the quiz.
It's not so much us, right? So it's the men and women that are out
on the street
every day. So
okay, you ready?
I thought this was the quiz that I just went through.
No, this is the quiz. Ready?
Go ahead.
Your superhero as a kid. Go quickly. You don't have a superhero?
Superman.
In India, they had a Superman?
Yes, we do.
I'm checking you. Okay. You got a brother?
I do.
His birthday?
March 3rd.
Is he married?
He's married.
His wife's birthday?
September 22nd.
They got kids?
2 kids.
Birthdays?
January 29th and October 18th.
Okay. You got a sister or brother? No?
I've got another brother.
Go. His birthday.
So it's July 10th.
His wife's?
I'll tell you.
What's her name?
Reshma.
Reshma. He doesn't know your birthday. Do they have any kids?
They've got 2 kids.
And their birthdays?
I'm going to make this one up.
Just make it up. All right. You're getting a bigger gift this year. Okay, next. I know you only been here 2.5 years. I don't care if you stay from here or Pompano. Favorite taco place? Or in India? Or in Alabama?
My favorite, well, I'm a simple guy. Taco Bell is my place.
Okay. Your favorite football team? Go.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Alabama?
Roll Tide.
Oh, baby! I love that. Well, it better be your. All right. Your favorite pizza place?
Again, I'm cheap, so I do Domino's all the time.
It's cheap. I love that. Your parents are proud of you. Okay. Your favorite sushi place?
I hate to say this. I haven't found a good. So coming from California, don't hold it against me.
You lived in California too?
I lived in California for 8 years.
You didn't tell us that. What part of California?
So I was in LA for 4 years, and then I was in San Francisco for 4 years.
I lived in LA, a little town called Montebello, East LA.
Montebello.
You notice me now? If you don't know, hey, near your house, Sushi Maki, right here.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you're cheap, and I know you don't eat out a lot. If you went out, where's a restaurant you would eat fish at? Okay, California, Miami.
Let me go with the so Bonefish.
Bonefish Grill. Okay. You're a tough one. Your favorite animal?
Nothing like a dog.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Your favorite burger place? This is not a hard quiz. This is not like Alabama getting a Masters. Next question.
Hey, let me do a Wendy's in which case.
Okay. Where do you eat chicken when you go out?
What do I eat?
Yeah, like chicken fillet, chicken kitchen.
Yeah, so Jamaican Kitchen is my go-to place.
Who?
Jamaican Kitchen.
Jamaica?
Yeah.
Where's that?
That's on 72nd, is it?
72nd?
72nd?
Okay.
Yeah. I thought you've been in Miami longer than I have.
I have. Okay. Did you have a New Year's resolution?
I do.
You want to tell us?
Yeah, I'm trying to eat better.
Okay, that's terrible.
And you messed everything up, asking me about all this.
Okay. The magic of the mix. Why is Miami-Dade County Solid Waste Management incredible team? Why? Why is it working so well?
I think it's an incredible group of people. A really good leader that cares. And, we talk about folks showing up. Through the pandemic, he has shown up to work, been with the people every day.
Who's he?
The director, Mike Fernandez. And that sends a message to everybody.
It's a
clear message that says, if, I truly care about the people around me.
Well, your job is down and dirty, literally. And those people that are on the streets make our county a most beautiful county in the country. I thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to quiz you next time. Now I want you to say goodbye to everybody. Look at that camera in 4 languages. Go.
Namaste. Kangana. Hasta la vista. Auf Wiedersehen.